Hey, this is Chantal Girardi from Online Business Marketing, and today I'm going to share with you how you can master goal setting and strategic planning so that you can be more productive, more profitable, and can perform better. All the PPPs today. At the end of the day, I honestly believe that this is a game-changing approach to performing better in your business and getting better results. And yet it is the thing that people generally kick to the curb and go, too hard, don't want to do that, I'll do that tomorrow, and they're completely neglected. And often it's just because they don't know where to start or how to do it. So today we're going to go through it, an overview of it, and then of course our live audience and our paying members will then get to actually do the worksheet afterwards, where we'll go through and dive into things a little bit deeper. So I honestly believe in keeping things as practical as possible, not overly complicated, so that I can help you propel forward, another P word, propel forward with precise precision. So the trouble with not having a goal is that you can spend your life running up and down the field and never score. How exhausting that is. So if you didn't have goalposts, and you were just running around continually, and you didn't have a goalpost, you wouldn't know if you go scoring there or scoring there or scoring there. You can imagine how exhausting that would be, how draining that would be, and how non-productive that would be. And that was a quote from Bill Copeland, who is an American poet. So the power of goal setting. At the end of the day, it's almost like your North Star. If you were out in an ocean and you had no idea where to go, left, right, up, down, all over the place, you would basically be aimlessly floating around. And you would never truly know how close you are to getting to the desired outcome that you want. It's like going into a restaurant and saying to the restaurant, please, can I have a potato? And they don't know whether or not you want the potato chopped, baked, mashed, if you want salt. They basically cannot deliver the order if they don't know what it is that you want. And goal setting is all about you being able to focus on that thing so that it can steer you to success. So this is where SMART goals come into it, using the acronym SMART, S-M-A-R-T. And I'm going to give you an example today as well, because some people don't quite get this right. But if you've got pen and paper, write it down. And our live audience have got workbooks that they can use. So the S stands for specific. And like I used with the example, if you went in and you bought a dress, you wouldn't say, I want a dress. You've got to say what size, what color, long sleeve, short sleeve, what material, what type of style, what type of fabric. The more details that you can put into that, the more specific you can be, the more likely you are to actually be able to achieve that thing. It just makes sense, right? So the M stands for measurable, meaning that, and especially as business owners, we often don't do this. We don't measure what it is that we do. We just kind of wake up every day and we do things aimlessly and we hope for a result. But if we actually put something measurable into it, a measurable goal, it helps us to achieve it or pull ourselves closer. I almost imagine a travelator, and measurable is like that travelator that's helping you get there by just focusing on that thing. So, for example, you could say something like, I want to achieve a 20% increase. So having an actual amount, something that you can measure to say this worked or this didn't work. The A stands for achievable. Now, this is a toughie because sometimes what is achievable may be scary and may be challenging, which means you may actually set a goal that is either one of two things: not achievable because you've gone way too high and you haven't actually looked at the whole thing to go, is this physically achievable? So for example, you might go, I want to have $5 million extra in a week's time. It's not achievable, right? So you're setting yourself up for failure. So you want to make sure that you've actually assessed whether or not you can or can't do it based on a lot of things, not on procrastination or fear, but on a lot of real tangible things. But the other thing that sometimes people could do as well is they might hold themselves back and set goals that are really easily achievable. And I'm going to leave that one with you, because sometimes you need to do that because that helps you build your confidence in moving to the next step. But I want to bring it into your awareness that maybe you may not challenging yourself and maybe you could push yourself just a little bit more. Okay. So I just want you to be real about that. The R is for relevant. So it has to be relevant to you, to your goals, to the outcome. But it's got to be relevant to the purpose that you're trying to achieve as well. And then the last one is T, meaning time bound. And again, as business owners, because we don't work to a time, we just, work every day, and hopefully you've got a schedule and a plan. But some of you may just be winging it throughout the day, that if you don't actually set like a deadline on it and you're not working towards it, you can start to become fluffy in the way that you attempt that, if that makes sense. Whereas if you have an actual date by the time you've got to do it, you tend to show up a lot more. You tend to have a lot more enthusiasm. You tend to apply yourselves a bit more. And I'll give you an example for me. I've got a charity ride coming up in Thailand in April. I have to do 500 kilometers. If I wake up one day and I don't feel great, I go, crap, I really have to do 500 kilometers by April. Do I really feel crap today, or am I just avoiding getting out of bed right now and getting on my bicycle? And I've just got to be real with myself. So setting those time-bound goals can help you chase things more effectively and help you keep your eye on the prize a little bit more. So an example of that would be if a coffee shop owner was wanting to increase the foot traffic at their coffee house. If we looked at S, they could say, well, the specific is, I want to increase my foot traffic by promoting a new specialty coffee drink. All right. Measurable. Well, I want to achieve that a 20% increase in foot traffic in 3 months. Okay. So 20% increase in 3 months. So they can measure that at the end of 3 months. Did they get 20% more traffic? And obviously apply it over the 3 months. Don't half apply it and say it didn't work. Achievable. Well, they decided that they would launch a targeted marketing campaign, which included social media and email marketing, as well as dropping off flyers in the nearby region and doing collaborations. So that was the achievable things that they could do in order to help them, the actions that they could take in order to help them reach that goal. And for R is relevant. And over here, for this example, boost revenue and brand awareness by introducing attractive new drinks. Now, the relevancy in this is that it's achievable to get that result if the new attractive drink is something that people will want to buy and is relevant to the customer. If it's not relevant to the customer or to their customers, so say it's a coffee house and suddenly they wanted to attract someone with tea, unless their coffee drinkers were asking for an alternative and wanted tea, it wouldn't be a good choice. It wouldn't be relevant. So this is where that relevancy comes in. And the last one is time bound. So they could say, well, we're going to monitor our foot traffic weekly and make sure that it is aimed at increasing towards the end of the 3 months. So it is on track to increasing the 20% within the 3 months so that they could monitor it and they could adjust what's working or not working to give it a real good goal, a really good chance of that goal actually coming to fruition. So when it comes to goals, it's important for you to brainstorm and define your long-term visions. And to me, it's not really that long-term. It drives me nuts when people go 3-year vision and 5-year vision. There's no way in hickaroo that I could have predicted where my life took a turn to with so many different things. This Thailand trip, doing a triathlon, changing from a fitness business into marketing. There was no way that was my 5-year vision of doing it. No way at all. The feelings were there, the feelings that I wanted something different were there, but there was no way that I could actually define it as a SMART goal as such. It was just a feeling of the change that I wanted to experience. So don't beat yourself up about it. Whatever that long-term vision is for you, as long as you are actively thinking about it, but make sure that you break it down into achievable milestones. Because if you wake up every day going, oh my gosh, I'm trying to create a $5 million business, and that is going to be more scary. That's going to set you into fear. It's going to help. It's not going to help you progress. It's going to rather make you procrastinate. So ideally what you want to do is break it up and go, what are the small little steps that I can do? So for example, if you've got like hour gaps in your day, let's break it down into an hourly task. Today, I'm just going to work on the social media campaign for that. Tomorrow, I'm going to work on the email marketing campaign for that. The next day, I'm going to work on, looking at market research. So break it down into manageable little milestones that are all going to contribute towards helping you get to that long-term vision. So what will happen if you don't have goals and you don't have a compass? Well, you risk wasting time and hindering your growth potential, because at the end of the day, you're aimlessly fluffing around in your business. And seriously, the difference between a successful and profitable and productive business is those who plan and take action versus those who don't. So Tony Robbins says, setting goals is the first step to turning the invisible into the visible. And I think there's someone else that says, it will only be a wish if it's not a dream, or it's only a dream if it's a wish. Anyway, look it up. But at the end of the day, it's going to be invisible. The only way you can make it visible is through goal setting. So how do you improve your performance as a business owner? This is my thing, my little thing that I came up with when I was a school teacher, BC, before children. And this is something that I came up with. It was an acronym. I don't think I came up with it. I think it was like a thing that we had at these Christian private schools that I taught at. And at the end of the day, the one thing I do know and preach about is making sure that you have self-awareness and self-care as a business owner, because you are in charge of driving that business. So you need to be in good working order. And if you look at the previous mastermind that we did, there are some additional resources on that, as well as in the free resources in the blog as well. So I'm not going to go too much into that today, except to say that consider what you are doing right now. What is working? What is not working? Why is it working or not working? And what do you need to do in order to meet your soul's desire? Okay? Because if you are not soul satisfied as a human being on this living earth, and you're a grumpy ass chicken, how are you going to run your business? And actually, Daryl, you shared something with me over the weekend. What was it? It was happy. It was cows. It was happy. Happy cows have sweeter milk or something. What was it, Daryl? Can you remember?
Happier.
See, tongue twister.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister. Happier cows make better milk.
Happier cows make better milk. So there's your saying for performing as a business owner. So the areas that I like to do, because I love an acronym, is spices. So the spice of your life, how you flavor your life and what brings you happiness and fulfillment as a business owner is really your spices. And you can decide what spices you put into your life. So I encourage you to have a look at yourself using the acronym SPICES. The S is for socially. Socially, am I fulfilled? Now, you can do this personally, for yourself personally, but you can also do this as a business owner. You can do this as a parent. You can even do this with your partners, or you can do this in your business and go socially. Am I happy with the social aspect of my business? So whatever you decide to do, just keep your spices for that one theme. But the S stands for socially. Are socially you being fulfilled? Whatever that looks like for you. The P is physically. Are you physically being fulfilled? And, you know, whatever that looks like for you. I is intellectually, because at the end of the day, like, we constantly need to be learning and growing our brains. So intellectually, are we satisfied? Are we being fulfilled? C is creatively. Creatively, are we being fulfilled? And I know there was a time in my life where I was really down and struggling with a few things. And I was invited to like these scrapbooking weekends. And oh my gosh, sitting there scrapbooking, cannot believe how that completely just changed my well-being, which then in fact changed the performance of what I was doing in my business as well. So whatever that looks like to you, whether or not that's dancing, whether or not that's art, whatever play it is for you, whatever that looks like, it may even be, it could even be for you cooking. You know, maybe cooking and adding different spices is your creativity, whatever that is. But that play aspect is so super important. And the last S for us is spiritually. And spiritually, whatever you believe in, you know, whatever you believe in, whoever you draw source from, at the end of the day, spiritually look at, are you spiritually fulfilled? Do you have a relationship with some sort of spirit? Which I cannot encourage you enough to do. All right, so practical tip, and I'm not the expert in this. This is stuff that I just do myself, but journaling and visualizing, meditating are all things that can help you with your personal progress. Actually just taking the time to sit down and future pace, have a look at and dream and think about, how do you want to see yourself? How do you want to be as a business owner? Do you want to be that grumpy ass chicken? Do you want to be a negative Nancy? Do you want to be complaining all the time that you don't have money, or that your business sucks, or nothing works, or I'm not good at technology, or blah, blah, blah? Like, at the end of the day, what type of business owner do you see yourself and want to be? And then sit, visualize, journal, and affirm. And thank you, Daryl. Yes, doing a vision board certainly helps as well. And then having it somewhere visual as well so that you can see. But at the end of the day, the clearer you are on it, the more likely you are. I know in the fitness industry, there was this book, and I'm sure you can find it. I think it was called Think Yourself Slim. And this was way before any of these like manifestation things would happen or whatever. And I ended up buying this book, and I was like, I'm going to have like a six-pack. Never had a six-pack in my life before. I'm going to have a six-pack, and I'm going to do it. So part of that was every day for 30 days, I was going to wear a crop top, and I was going to bare my abs, and I was going to look at myself in the mirror at the gym, because I worked in a gym. So I was going to look at myself in the mirror every single day, but I was going to think myself slim every time I looked at myself in the mirror. I wasn't going to go, oh my gosh, look at that fat roll. What are people thinking? All I did was think myself slim and visualize it. And I swear, after 30 days, I've never seen such a change in my abs before. So thoughts and words create your reality, whatever you want to believe, but catch yourself in what you're saying, reframe it, and focus on what type of business owner do you want to be, and then create that person. So let's talk about the power of strategic planning. Well, fail to plan, you plan to fail. So strategic planning involves identifying your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. It is called a SWOT analysis. And with our live audience today, we will do a SWOT analysis at the end of the session. And for those of you who are watching this recording, jump onto the website, onlinebusinessmarketing.com.au. Find this blog that we've written, because there will be a SWOT analysis there for you. No need to download. It's just going to be the questions that I'm going to be taking our live audience through a little bit later today, but we don't have time for it. But at the end of the day, if you can devise a roadmap in your business that focuses on strengths and opportunities while mitigating your weaknesses and threats, you will have a better business. Okay, so I always say this: find the things that you love inside your business or are good inside your business, and get really good at those things and work on those things. And the things that you're not good at, I don't believe that you should outsource them. I believe you should at least empower yourself before even looking at outsourcing them, unless you are a seven-figure business. By all means, then go and outsource it, because you're in a good enough position to do that. All right. So when you understand your business's internal strengths and weaknesses, as well as the external opportunities and threats, you can now, as a business owner, make informed decisions, and you can develop strategies for success whilst mitigating risks. So instead of you going, I'm just going to do this today, I'm just going to do that today, if you have clear guidelines on what your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are, when you make those decisions, you can go, am I putting my best foot forward in this decision? So you're doing it from a much more empowered place. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is financial planning and tracking. Now, there's a couple of blogs on the website, onlinebusinessmarketing.com.au. There's a really, really good one that's called Why Are You Not Getting Paid? Where I talk about 3 different reasons around that, and you will not believe what they are. But I can tell you right now, one of the biggest gifts that I've had in my life was one of the most challenging things that has ever happened to me in my life. And that was me being absolutely broken in a new country with no financial support or welfare, with 3 kids under the age of 5. I know, true story. It's a big one. But I'm so grateful for that opportunity, because what it did for me as a business owner was it made me count my pennies. It made me look at my money, and it made me look at how I was spending my money, and I was careful with it. Now, I need to say this. You do have to look at the impact of money mindset on that, and make sure that when you are looking at your figures, that you are still doing it with belief and faith, and also trusting your intuition. Because I did go down a slippery road of money mindset, which then started to say, don't spend money, don't spend money, don't spend money. And that's not great advice either. So you do want to check yourself on that. But it is important for us to know our numbers, because knowledge is power. Because when you understand your finances, and you can know your income, and you know your expenditures, and you can track them, you can now budget, you can now forecast, and you can profit goal set as well, which is fundamental. So that leads me to share with you Profit First. And I absolutely love Profit First. And there are additional resources on my website around that, or just go to Profit First. But at the end of the day, they look at a method of dividing all your income comes in and then dividing up the money so that it goes into different areas. Making sure that you take the right percentages. So for myself personally, one of the best things I did a year ago was I made a rule that my expenses could only be 30% of my income, and I would not go over it. And that made me then have to re-look at the software I was using, the staff that I was using, to make sure that my expenses were less so that it would fall within that 30% bracket, or alternatively, I had to make more income. And at that point, the income wasn't an issue. I was just overspending. The only way to know that and make those decisions is to make sure that you know your numbers. Okay. So I love this. Financial discipline. Oh, so good. Financial discipline, so good for you. And it promotes sustainable growth. Which is awesome. So you want to make sure that you're allocating percentages for taxes, expenses, and other obligations. And you know how much it is. You know how much your expenses are, and you have money there ready and waiting to go. Nobody should be paying additional fees, like late fees and whatever else, because why would you do that? So just make sure that you do things smartly, please. So when you understand your costings and your profitability, you are able to calculate your costs of your products or your services. And so many service-based businesses do not put their time in as an expense, and your time is an expense. I just had to do this recently for myself again. It's an absolute nightmare to do. You've got to work out what your hourly rate is, okay? We have done it before. I think there is a blog that does this, but you have to have an hourly rate of how much it takes you to do marketing, how much it takes you to do buying, invoicing, or software. Like, you need to know the expenses of everything, including the time that it takes you to do things. I remember when we worked with Leah, who makes candles, it was taking her hours to do candles, and she wasn't putting in the time that she was actually doing candles. The time it takes to actually make those candles. So you have to put that into there as well. All right. So you want to make sure that you're not just covering costs, but that you're generating a profit, but obviously doing market research as well, and making sure that the profit that you are making is realistic. It's right for you, but it's also realistic for the marketplace as well. All right. And then in order to empower you with all of this, there's a P word, which is actually an F word. So there's a P word that's actually hiding itself as an F word. And that is procrastination. And at the end of the day, why don't we goal set? Why don't we look at our finances? Why don't we do SWOT analyses? Why don't we, sit down and write down our action steps every single day, and journal and visualize and do all these things that have been proven that will make you perform better? Like, why don't we do those things? And the reason is P, procrastination. So what is procrastination? Procrastination's fear. That's all it is. It's masquerading as fear. If you're going, I'd rather clean the toilets right now than go look at my finances, that is fear of looking at your finances. Okay. I really need to do my 10th training session today at the gym, instead of going and writing out my goals like Chantel said I should. What is that? That's you choosing to do something that's easier and likable versus something that's hard, challenging, and not likable. And what is that? That's fear. That's fear. So the next time you go and procrastinate, ask yourself, what am I really scared of? Is it just hard? Yes, it is. So now I just go procrastinating. Just means it's challenging. I'm a little bit fearful of it. You know what? I better just do it. I've done stuff like that before. So I gather evidence to prove that before I've done challenging things, and challenging things were okay. All right. Now, a couple of other techniques you can use is a book called Eat Your Frog. Eat Your Frog is all about breaking down things into manageable chunks, setting, sorry, I've rushed ahead. Eat That Frog is all about tackling the most challenging and important task first. It's about setting the day for a productive day. So whatever the most challenging, most profitable, biggest, scariest, horrible thing is, knock that on the head first thing in the day. That'll set you up for success for the rest of the day. Okay. If you can make that rule and stick to it. So start by identifying the most important task and put that on your to-do list and tackle it head on with no distraction until it's done, no matter how daunting it is. I am not going to go to the toilet, eat chocolate, or clean the toilet until I've completed that activity. All right. And your sense of accomplishment and progress will fuel your motivation to keep going. So you will develop in confidence. I have started with a baby one as well, because I feel like some of the introverted or some of the newbies might find that approach a little bit challenging to go take the biggest thing and go and, eat that frog. So I've come up with another method, and I don't care, use any one of these two methods, but use one of them. And it's called the 2-minute rule. And the 2-minute rule is if a task takes 2 minutes or less to complete, you do it straight away. So I have said this in previous lives, coaching, whatever, before, is that sometimes when something is so big and I've got to tackle it, but I've got 30 other tiny little things to do, I actually will go and knock those 30 tiny little things out of the park, and it clears my head up to do that big thing. So that's my little disclaimer about Eat That Frog, and that's why you've got 2 to go with there today. You get to choose which one you want to go with. Just choose one of them. Don't care. You're either starting with the big one going small, or you're starting with the small ones going big. But honestly, that 2-minute rule one, I've actually used that, and I think I'm quite a brave person, but that 2-minute rule one has really helped me out a few times. And I'll even do something else. So because it's 2 minutes, and say I've got 10 minutes, I'll actually set a timer for 10 minutes. And then I go, I've got to tick 5 things off my list. And those 5 things that look so scary on my list literally take me 10 minutes. And I'm like, what was I so scared of? Oh my gosh, some of them took even less than 2 minutes. But I just didn't want to do them because they were annoying, horrible little things. So sometimes for me, setting a timer certainly helps. All right, dispelling the myth of multitasking. Going to say it again. Do not multitask. Your brain cannot do 2 things at one time. Meaning that if you are doing 2 things at the one time, what's happening is it's switching from this to that, to this, to that, to this, to that, to this, to that, which means it cannot think. And that is why you feel stressed when you multitask. You actually feel stressed. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. Your brain is literally swelling and going, and it cannot think because it never gets time to think because you keep changing it. So multitasking is not a thing. Your brain can't actually do 2 things at one time. All right. So please, 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 please make sure that you prioritize tasks based on their importance and tackle those things individually. So time blocking can certainly help. Monotasking, single tasking, you're 80% more productive. So 2 different time management techniques. There's the Pomodoro technique, which is kind of like work for 25 minutes and then have a short break. Again, that one doesn't work for me because I find I actually get into a rhythm after about 15 to 20 minutes. So I get in a rhythm and I get stuck in the flow. And now you're asking me to take a short break. So I feel I lose momentum when I do the Pomodoro technique. So time blocking for me is better. And I look at a task and I go, in my experience, generally that task is going to take me 1 hour and 15 minutes. And I'll put 1 hour and 15 minutes and I'll put the name of and I'll write the name of the task in there. And sometimes I'll even write down 5 different things that I've got to do with that one task. So when I get there, so especially if you do it the night before, you'll sleep better. When you wake up in the morning, you'll look forward to doing it because it's in your diary, it's already there, and you've already got 5 steps that you've got to do. Where we go wrong is we go, oh, I'm going to write up that new lead magnet tomorrow at 1 p.m. I get there at 1 p.m. I've had a crappy day all day. I get there at 1 p.m. I go, now I've got to create a lead magnet. What was I doing again? Why did I want the lead magnet? What was it about? What do I need to, what are the steps? So now I've got to think about what the steps are that I've got to do. And then I've got to do it. And guess what? My time's now gone. So mapping it out, even if it's 3 things, give it a title, 3 things, put it in a block. And guess what? Set a notification, show up and actually do it. And turn off everything. No phones, no distractions, no Netflix, no nothing. All right? Get rid of the dog, get rid of the cat. Do not water the flowers. Don't clean the toilets. All right, so time blocking. We are in our next session. We are actually going to map out a year's worth of content. So 2024's content, we're going to map it all out. We're going to map out the given days content, and then we're also going to map out campaigns. So time blocking is going to be part of our next session. We're also going to be creating our ideal day or our ideal day. day by day so that you could have a soul satisfying day. Because I don't want you to just put a whole bunch of shit on one day. I want you to enjoy your days. I want you to enjoy waking up every day. So Steph is going to have her aquafab in their time. She'll have all that time to do all of that. Coffee with mates. Daryl will have time to go do his hair whenever he wants to. Alison can play with her cats. It's all going to be in there. All right. But also the crappy, shitty, little ugly things that you don't want to do are going to be in there, but they're the things that are going to make you successful. So pain and pleasure, I'll give it to you both. All right. So a survey conducted by Inc. magazine found that 80% of small business owners who set specific goals achieved them, compared to 12% who didn't set any goals and didn't achieve them. All right. Goal setting is vital. Setting overall goals is important, and then setting little minute ones as well. So if we use an example of a guy called Mark, who's a coach, and he's determined to grow his client base, he knows that not all tasks are created equal. So instead of doing non-productive tasks on an ongoing basis, Mark sat down to identify his top 3 income-producing activities. So what is going to get him to get better income, the 3 biggest income-producing activities? And he went, right, pitching to high-profile clients, updating his portfolio, and networking at industry events. So then he formulated an action plan and made sure that those non-negotiable appointments were in his calendar every week. Every week, the income-producing activities were in his diary every week with specific things on how to do them, specific action steps. All right, so take control, implement action, because a plan without action is just a dream or wish. I don't know if that was it, but it works. Take control. I love the control aspect of time management. I found time management so beneficial when I was a triathlete, when I was a mum of twins, when I was then a mum of 3, when I was a personal trainer working 40 hours a week. Time management and having a calendar and doing it is amazing. So I can't wait to do time management with you next week and time blocking. But your body will thrive, and you will thrive as a human being within your business in the driver's seat if you can keep your eye on the numbers, goal set, and do that SWOT analysis. So live audience, we're going to do it now. Right now, you've got your workbooks. We're going to go out and create that. Then you can also ask your questions and give any feedback. And for those who would like to join and be part of the live audience, simply have a look at the website and have a look at how you can become a VIP.